Hi friends, I'm Dr. Dale Warren, or as some people like to call me, Papa Dale. Now this is a teaching from the Huss Institute in Biblical Studies, USA, and the year is 2025. The topic for today is God is Omniscient. Now this is a lecture for the Bachelor of Theology and Bible degree, the THB degree from JHI-USA. So, let's get going. God is omnipresent. THB lecture, JHI-USA. Quote, "But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, the heaven and heavens of heavens cannot contain thee, how much less this house that I have builded?" 1 Kings 8:27. Omnipresence means all present. God is ontologically present in the totality of his being at every point in the universe. This means his divine presence encompasses the whole of the universe. There is no location that he does not inhabit. No matter where I go, God is with me because God exists apart from and outside of space-time matter. He is not limited by its constraints. 1 Kings 8:27, Acts 17:24. Now there are three ways that theologians understand the idea of presence: circumscriptive presence, definitive presence, and ontological presence. Circumscriptive presence refers to a visible, limited physical place in space-time matter, such as in the case of a human being. You see a friend. They exist. They have circumscriptive presence. Definitive presence refers to a non-observable, non-physical, real, but limited, and assumed presence in space-time matter, like an angel might have. They don't exist everywhere, but they do exist somewhere, and it's non-observable and non-physical, but it's real. And then there is ontological presence. Now, this refers to the genuine presence of God as a transcendent being within our dimension and capable of full presence within all places of a coterminous, transcendent reality simultaneously. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Let me read it again. Ontological or personal presence refers to the genuine presence of God as a transcendent being within our dimension and capable of full presence within all places of a coterminous, transcendent reality simultaneously. Now, this should not be confused with pantheism, which suggests that God is synonymous with the universe itself. Instead, omnipresence indicates that God is distinct from the universe, but inhabits the entirety of it. He is everywhere, all at once, in the sense that his design, power, and presence are fully ubiquitous, yet his personhood, his individuality, his personal essence are not commingled therewith. Remember the bubble analogy? Now, this is not merely his power that upholds all things and makes him present everywhere, Hebrews 1:3, but it's his consciousness as well. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. Psalm 139, 7-10. So let's look at some of the characteristics of omnipresence and how they interact with other theological and biblical topics. The first one we'll look at is the omnipresence and sin. God's omnipresence is a deterrent for sin and a source of great comfort and hope for believers. He is, therefore, present with us wherever we are and sees all that occurs. Nothing escapes his attention. Psalm 33:14 and Psalm 139:7 through 10, and Isaiah 57:15, and again Jeremiah 23:23 and 24, Matthew 18:20. He is our ultimate cheerleader, cheering us on with love and joy to finish our run and win our race. Theological implications of omnipotence. The theological implications of God's omnipresence, I said omnipotence, theological implications of omnipresence. The theological implications of God's omnipresence affirm his constant availability and active engagement with creation. This attribute assures believers that God is never distant, providing comfort and guidance in all circumstance. It also emphasizes his sovereignty over time and space, embodying both transcendence and immanence, all at the same time. Evangelical scholar Dr. Wayne Grudem states, quote, God's omnipresence means that he is present everywhere in the fullness of his being and that he is not limited by physical space, end quote. Understanding his omnipresence challenges believers to cultivate a continuous awareness of his presence, shaping their relationship with God and guiding their moral and spiritual decisions. Topic number 2, omnipresence and creation. God's presence in creation is a profound testament to his creative power and sustaining activity. The beauty and order found in nature reflect his character and invite humanity to recognize his handiwork. Psalm 19, verse 1 declares, quote, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the skies proclaim the work of his hands, end quote. This illustrates how creation reveals God's attributes. Evangelical scholar Dr. Hugh Ross emphasizes that when he says, quote, every aspect of the created order points us back to the Creator, end quote. This underscores that recognizing God's presence within creation fosters a deeper appreciation for his majesty and instills a sense of responsibility for stewardship of the earth that he has made. Number 3, omnipresence and time and space. God's relationship with time and space is one of transcendence and sovereignty. Unlike creation, which is bound by time and space, God exists outside these limitations, as expressed in Psalm 90, verse 4, which says, quote, for 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, end quote. This understanding highlights God's eternal nature and his ability to intersect with human history. Evangelical scholar Dr. Millard Erickson states, quote, God is not tied to time, but holds all time in his eternal presence, end quote. And this affirms that his timelessness allows him to fully engage with creation while remaining unchanging and constant in his character. Topic number 4, omnipresence and sovereignty. The connection between God's omnipresence and his sovereignty emphasize that God is actively in control of all creation at every moment. His presence is not passive, rather it asserts his authority over time, space, and all events. Had to take a little nose-blowing break there. So we're talking about omnipresence and sovereignty. I'll start that paragraph again. The connection between God's omnipresence and his sovereignty emphasizes that God is actively in control of all creation at every moment. His presence is not passive, rather, it asserts his authority over time, space, and all events. This omnipresence reassures believers that God governs every detail of their lives, ensuring His ultimate plan will prevail. As evangelical scholar Dr. R.C. Sproul notes, quote, God's sovereignty means that He has the power to rule and the right to rule, and His omnipresence allows Him to exercise that rule everywhere. End quote. This understanding encourages believers to trust in God's sovereign plan, knowing that He is always present and always at work. And topic number 5, omnipresence and comfort and assurance. From an evangelical perspective, the presence of God offers profound comfort and assurance to believers in times of uncertainty or distress. Knowing that God is always with them provides a sense of security and peace, as articulated in Isaiah 41:10, which assures, quote, Do not fear, for I am with you, end quote. This unwavering presence encourages believers to lean on Him during trials. Evangelical scholar Dr. John Piper emphasizes, quote, The presence of God in the center of our joy and strength. The presence of God is the center of our joy and strength. End quote. This highlights that and cultivates the awareness of God's nearness and fosters trust and resilience, allowing believers to navigate life's challenges with confidence in His steadfast love and support. Topic number 6 is omnipresence and the Holy Spirit. In evangelical belief, the Holy Spirit plays a vital role in helping believers experience the tangible presence of God. The Holy Spirit serves as a comforter, guide, and advocate, facilitating a deep and personal relationship between the believer and God. Romans 8:16 states, quote, The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children, end quote, thus ensuring a profound awareness of God's intimate presence. Dr. Wayne Grudem, evangelical scholar and theologian, notes, quote, The Holy Spirit brings the presence of God into our lives, transforming us and enabling us to walk in communion with Him, end quote. This dynamic relationship empowers believers to live out their faith with confidence and joy. Topic number 7, omnipresence and God's love. The relationship between God's omnipresence and His love for us is viewed as integral to understanding God's nature and interaction with creation. This includes His constant availability, presence in suffering, union in relationship, inclusivity in His compassion, and incorporation into His divine purpose and plan. Theologian Dr. J.I. Packer, in his book, Knowing God, states this, quote, God's omnipresence means that we cannot flee from Him. He is more intimately present to us than we are to ourselves. This presence is a constant reminder of His love, as He is intimately involved in every moment of our lives, caring for us in ways we may not even recognize, end quote. Evangelical scholars see God's omnipresence as a vital aspect of His loving nature, enabling constant relational engagement with humanity and affirming His desire for a personal relationship with His creation. Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of people see the omnipresence of God as a stern father, always watching, trying to catch us at doing something wrong. When my view of the omnipresence of God is just the opposite. My view is like a parent at a soccer game, watching his child perform and shouting encouragement. Go, son, go, fight, son, run, do your best. Yeah, you're doing great. It's awesome. Fight the good fight. That's how I see God's omnipresence, and I hope you'll come to see it that way too. There is, on the other hand, human responsibility, and topic number 8 is omnipresence and human responsibility. God's omnipresence underscores human responsibility by reminding believers that their actions occur under His constant watch. This awareness of God's ever-present nature fosters accountability in moral decisions and behavior. In Jeremiah 23:24, God declares, quote, "Can anyone hide in secret places so that I cannot see them?" End quote. This understanding encourages believers to act ethically and live in a way that honors God. Evangelical scholar and theologian Dr. Alistair McGrath asserts, quote, "The realization of God's omnipresence reinforces our moral responsibility as it reminds us that we are always in the sight of a loving and just God. This creates a call to integrity in all aspects of life, and it's encouragement for us to proactively conform our will to sync up with His will, to conform our moral structure to sync up with His moral structure." Topic number 9, omnipresence and immanence and transcendence. In evangelical history and evangelical theology, a key distinction exists between God's immanence and transcendence. God's immanence refers to His active presence and involvement in creation, demonstrating His relational nature. Conversely, transcendence highlights God's incomprehensible majesty and otherness, affirming that He exists beyond the physical universe, and both attributes are essential for understanding God's character. We'll never fully understand it, but knowing these two concepts helps us catch a glimpse, maybe. As evangelical scholar Dr. A.W. Tozer explains, quote, "While God is immanent in His creation, His transcendence reminds us that He is not merely an extension of it. This balance invites believers to experience a personal relationship with God while recognizing His supreme authority and holiness, fostering both intimacy and reverence." Topic number 10, omnipresence and worship and prayer. Understanding God's omnipresence, immanence, and transcendence significantly influences worship and prayer. In worship, believers engage with a God who is both infinitely present and intimately present and gloriously transcendent, cultivating a deep reverence and joy in His presence. Prayer becomes a profound dialogue, acknowledging God's closeness while also honoring His majesty. As evangelical scholar Dr. Timothy Keller articulates, quote, "Prayer is a way of seeing the world through God's eyes, aligning our hearts with His. This awareness encourages believers to approach God with the confidence and humility, knowing that He hears and responds, thus enriching our spiritual experience and deepening their relationship with Him." In conclusion, the attribute of God's omnipresence profoundly shapes the evangelical understanding of His nature and relationship with humanity. It invites believers to recognize their accountability in every moment of life, while simultaneously assuring them of God's constant companionship, guidance, and love. Go, Dale, go! Win, Dale, win! Run fast, work hard, you can do it! A loving God on the sideline of life, shouting encouragement. Ultimately, this divine attribute fosters a deeper commitment to worship, prayer, and ethical living, enriching the believer's faith journey and the experience of God's presence. And so, I'm your host, Dr. Dale Warren, your old pal, Papa Dale. This has been the THB lecture, the Bachelor of Theology and Bible for the Jan Hus Institute, USA. The title has been God is Omnipresent. So, I think that God will allow me to upload another video soon. And if so, you don't have that long to wait to see me. But until then, I'm going to sign off for now. And I'll remind you that I'll be praying for you, that you'll be well and that you'll be blessed.